Welcome to Sportsy. Let's talk sports. We have spoken to so many athletes as well as administrators, and everybody mentioned that mental conditioning and strength conditioning is something very, very important aspect of an athlete's life. Today, on the World Physiotherapist Day, we are going to talk to somebody who was an athlete. He played with the stalwarts like Ravi Shastri, Vinod Kamli, Sachin Tendulkar, Sanjay Manjrekar in the Mumbai team. After finishing his career, he got attracted towards a different side of coaching, which is strength coaching. And today he has his own studio called Studio Valley. He has worked with MCA, BCCI, Thailand women's cricket team, as well as multiple athletes beyond cricket as well. Please welcome Vishwas Walawalkar, CEO and founder of Studio Valley, strength and conditioning coach, Vishwas Walawalkar. Thank you for watching, thank you for liking, and thank you for sharing. Please do subscribe on our channel, Sportsy Says, and also follow Sportsy Says handle across all social media. Please subscribe to Sportsy Says. Thank you.
Hey, hi Vishwas. Good to see you on the Sportsy. Let's talk sports.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So, guys, for people to know what Vishwas is, I gave a quick introduction earlier, but just to give another round of introduction once for him, 18 plus years of experience, a completely hardcore strength and conditioning coach, has trained a lot of national, international athletes, and one of the thing that he calls out is being a strength and conditioning coach for Thailand's women team. I'm sure there are a lot of other accolades that we will get to know during the interview. But that's where I wanted to start and set the base. And now I'll put Vishwas to introduce himself beyond what I did and why strength and conditioning.
Okay. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for having me here. It's always great to talk to sports enthusiasts and share some experience and knowledge. Basically, I'm born and brought up in Mumbai and played first class cricket for Mumbai. I was lucky enough to share the dressing room with all the stalwarts of the game, including Mr. Ravi Shastri, Sanjay Manjrekar, Sachin Tendulkar, Vinod Kamli, and you name it. I mean, that time Mumbai team was all star-studded team.
Yes.
So I was a part of the team. I played cricket for 16 years in Mumbai, and then I've realized that I love sports. So I have to get in touch with sport or remain in touch with sport basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I had two options: to become a coach or to get into a kind of a sports science and strength and conditioning aspects of it. So I chose strength and conditioning aspect because then I thought, why only cricket? I can work with a lot of other different sports as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the reason I've got into this field around 17, 18 years back. My mentor, Dr. Kinjal Suratwala, got me into this. And I did some courses with him back then. And then I started working with Mumbai Cricket Association. And then MCA sent me to BCCI for level 1 examination, which I've cleared. And after that, I've started working with BCCI on a different zonal and national level. So I did a lot of zonal camps and national camps for BCCI, under 19, under 16, India Women's, India A. And I've also worked with different cricket associations like Mumbai, Baroda, and Maharashtra.
Okay.
So around 7 years back, I thought, why only in cricket? So I got out of cricket and started my own company called Studio Valley. The main aim of Studio Valley is to spread the scientific approach of strength and conditioning, number one, to help various athletes and give them a sports science support, because we have the talent. The only thing which is lacking right now is a sports science support for these athletes. And of course, to bring more and more strength and conditioning coaches, equip them with the knowledge, expertise, experience. In turn, they will help these national, international athletes at the grassroots level as well as the state and national level. So that was the whole concept of building this Studio Valley company. And last 7 years, I've been working in this field. In Pune, I have 4 centers today, and various trainers. Apart from that, I also have a physiotherapy setup where we provide a sports physiotherapy, because when you talk about sports science,
Yes.
It's strength and conditioning, it's physiotherapy, it's nutrition, it's mental aspects of the game.
Correct.
It's also recovery aspects. So give them a complete 360-degree support to all athletes, even to evaluate and screen and assess every individual body. And come up with some kind of a reporting system where we can actually individualize program for every different athletes. So that's the whole concept of doing studio body.
Excellent. I think, yeah, I think I was just imagining the first part of growing up in Mumbai, and yes, when you grow up in Mumbai in 80s and 90s, then you have to play cricket. Yes, I myself was at Paddy Shivalkar's sir's
Correct.
camps in Shivaji Park. I have done that, and
Yeah.
again, so now the question is, when you were playing, you got opportunity to play for Mumbai and club cricket and a lot of places for 15, 16 years. Do you think that you had any idea what strength and conditioning back then?
Not at all. Uh, that time there was no internet. There was no kind of a global leverage concept. There was a lack of information and knowledge has been passed from, especially from developed countries. Uh, Fortunately, I was a part of something called a BCA Mafatlal bowling scheme, which has been
Okay.
done by Mumbai Cricket Association, and I was part of those 20 bowlers back then. And then uh, Frank Tyson sir from Australia have flown down for 3 years here in India, and then we have been taught various skills of bowling.
Mm-hmm.
That time there was an effort done by Mumbai Cricket Association by program that time. But today, when I see those programs, I don't think that is backed by a kind of a scientific approach or scientific research. Whatever our coaches used to like
Yes.
back then, so we were done that. But yeah, we got introduced to a kind of a strength and conditioning aspect of it, not scientific way.
Right.
Yeah, over a period of time after that, the BCCI have taken a lot of initiative and steps to get all these foreigners into the system. And
Correct.
they got all these protocols and processes here in India. And I was lucky enough to be a part of that process. So I've learned so many things from these international SNCs and physios and coaches like Dave Watmore, Paul Chapman, Paul Close, all those over there that time. I was lucky enough to be a part of this process to learn firsthand from these people and then realize, okay, this is something else. This is something big, and it has to be backed by research.
Right.
Something has
Correct.
to be done some kind of a research where they establish the fact that okay, now this is the way to look at things.
Correct.
So then things have changed, of course. My programs 15 years back when I used to make a program for an athlete, and today when I make a program for an athlete, it's completely different. And of course, there are different stars have born in different sports in India.
Correct.
And slowly, people understood that if we want to be at international level, we have to work on physical capacities and physical capabilities.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's like what nobody doubted the talent and the credential of people like Ranatunga and all, but you can't call them. They were cricket fit probably,
Correct.
and not the athletes or not the sports fit. They were probably cricket fit.
Correct.
Just going to sports. But football, I always had that strength and conditioning because of the kind of running and everything that you do.
Correct.
The training itself was different. So I think nowadays what we see is a lot of sports related things coming up specifically. And yesterday I was watching Virat Kohli's program about how he's gotten to snatch and those lifts. And
Yeah.
he was worried about his back, but that has
Yeah.
changes the whole thing for him. And what he does is I think it's he trains the way a MMA athlete trains,
Correct.
or a footballer trains, or a triathlonist trains, and he's playing cricket. So
Yeah.
It's I think it is now what I think what where I'm coming to is after cricket, as you said, you started Studio Volley 5-6 years back to go across sports. I think that is what it is. You should be the strength and conditioning should be looked at as a basic thing, as a benchmark, and then you start building your verticals, and this should be the horizontal.
Correct.
Yeah.
So basically, see what is strength and conditioning. We'll talk about
Yes,
that first.
correct.
Okay?
That is what I have.
So we have two sectors, two segments in sports. Number one is your skill. So whatever talent you have about that particular sport, and you work hard to develop a skill in that particular sport. That is one part of a sport development program.
Correct.
Another part today, if you look at any sport, it has become a power oriented sport. You have to produce power, okay? And you have to keep producing power throughout your span of a game or whatever competition you have, okay? So it has become a very power oriented game. If you look at badminton, what Prakash Padukone used to play and now Lin Dan is playing is completely different badminton,
Correct.
right? Similarly, our old players like Gavaskar, and if it then change to Tendulkar and now change to Virat Kohli, if you see the huge transformation in terms of
Correct.
power output and force output, okay? So now it has become more of a physical game as well. So though there is skill is important, your physical capabilities and physical development is more important to developing and to meet the demands of the sport in today's world. Okay, that is the reason this strength and conditioning aspect has come into place. So what is strength and conditioning? Strength is, we all know about, we have to develop a physical strength, and there are various strength aspects of it. Like there's a muscle endurance, muscle power, and muscle strength. There are three different aspects of the strength. Apart from that, when we talk about strength, people always think about gym and lifting weights. So it's not like that. Anything against resistance, like against TheraBand or against even the parachute, is also strength training. So there are various aspects we use to develop strength, which has been used to play that particular sport. Now, strength training in sport and strength training for bodybuilders are completely different ballgame altogether. So people always also think that, many of the coaches think that, okay, now if you go to gym, you will get stiff, you cannot bowl, you cannot move around faster.
Right.
So that is a wrong concept, because strength training for sports people, as we currently mentioned, that Virat Kohli is doing snatch and powerlifting thing. So if you look at powerlifting and snatch and power cleans, it's all about speed. So he is developing the speed strength. Okay, and he also does that in a full range of motion. So there is no point. There is no point where he is going to get more and more stiff or rigid. Probably he'll develop a faster strength, which is required to play his sport better. Okay, so strength training for sports people is completely different. That is number one. What is conditioning? Now, every game has different movement patterns in their game and requirement. For example, football has to run in a particular direction. Cricketer has to do certain activities. So all those when you train those movement patterns on a either on a court or on a ground, it's called a conditioning aspect of it.
Right.
That also depends upon what kind of a movement pattern required for that particular sport. So again, that varies. For example, running, whether it's a long distance running or short distance running, whether it's a sprinting you have to do or slow jog you have to do, or there's agility, there's a speed. It's a various aspect of your running aspect as well,
right,
depending upon your sport. So we train those aspects as well. So this is in short, it's called a strength and conditioning aspect of it.
So training with Usain Bolt is different and training with Mary Kom is different.
100%, absolutely. Yes. Because Usain Bolt is going to do a linear, fast, one-dimensional activity, where Mary Kom has to develop her anaerobic capacity, her aerobic capacity, her speed, strength, power, agility, various other aspects of a sport.
So this is actually very interesting, actually giving the differentiation. Me being part of sports industry also, I think it's like, for me, it's like strength and conditioning. It is like, but it is very important to understand how you categorize it. But do you think this is the current level of coaches, that are they doing it at the grassroots level? Because that is where they should start getting into the mindset of this. The professional athlete, now they know because they have to be there. The amateur also might know, but when do you think the strength and conditioning coaching actually starts from at what age? And is it different for the boys and girls at the early stage?
It's in terms of fitness and starting the fitness training. There is no age. There's no minimum or maximum age for it. Number one, you can start any age. Of course, the type of training you're going to do is going to be different. Okay, all the time. That is number one part of it. So there is no age for it. Number two, I always think that you should start playing a serious sport around 8 to 9 of year of age, because that time you slowly understanding your body types, you understanding your liking of the game. By that time you have played football, cricket, hockey, whatever you want to do, and you started realizing, I like cricket more. I can hit the ball better. I'm enjoying that batting or bowling in that part. Okay, so that is the time when you have to understand our body. Okay, so a good strength and conditioning coach understands and evaluate every individual body. So I always feel at a grassroots level, that's I call it grassroots level, where you started thinking, okay, I'm liking it. I want to see whether I can make a career out of it.
Right.
That's a grassroots level for us. So at that level, we have to work on the movement patterns. We have to work on a physical competency.
Right.
We have to work on our physical limiting factors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have a mobility issues, we have a stability issues. There are certain muscles are firing, certain muscles not firing. There are firing patterns. Even you are doing a basic fundamental movements, you can see there's an alteration happening, or an altered movement are happening basically. So we have to train movements that time. We have to correct the movements. Okay. Why these movements are altered? Because of these various other factors: your tightnesses, your mobility, your flexibility, your firing pattern, your strength. So there are various factors affecting your quality of the movement. Okay. So at grassroots level, I always think that we should correct the movement patterns. We work on quality of the movement than actually developing strength. I'll give an example here. Okay. Suppose we always think that okay, squat is the best form of strength training program. It's a good strength training exercise. Okay. But while coming up from the squat, if your glutes are not firing, you will do compensatory movement with your lower back muscles and your hamstring muscles. So that movement is not correct. It's an altered movement. There's a compensation happen in that particular movement. So unless you correct that movement, you will not get the desired result from the squat. So at grassroots level, I always think that we should go for evaluation. We do a lot of screening. We do their postural analysis. We do their fundamental movement screening. We correct those movement patterns. We improve their physical competency and limiting factors. And on basis of that, once you reach a stage where now you are thinking, okay, I'm developing my skills better. I'm thinking of getting into serious sports. You start building the strength and conditioning aspects of it. And when you start doing strength and conditioning aspects of it, again, there are various variables, I could say. Of course, understand every particular sport, what kind of energy system is required in that particular sport, what kind of movement patterns is required in that particular sport, what kind of muscle fibers are required there. Apart from that, are you into off-season training phase, pre-competition, competition? So there are various other factors we take into consideration before making a program for an elite athlete. Also, we have to look at their recovery processes, their load in their skill development programs. So there's a load management, there's a recovery, there's something called periodization. So there are various other factors taken into consideration before making a program for an elite athlete.
Oh wow! I'm sure there's a big checklist and there's a proper planning that happens. Is as good as launching a new startup for every athlete at every different time. So again, so my question now is, when you spoke about at the grassroots level that we're talking about what needs to be done. So do you think that our coaching system should incorporate these activities as a basic training for the coaches that they equip with, and then specialists like you come and actually correct that? Because what happens is, till you need to have somebody who teaches you base. Right now, if my kid is going to play football, I'm focusing on football coaching. And it depends on that academy and that coaches to get somebody involved with this. And you never know with their egos and all those things, or their knowledge also is going to work or no. But if you are a say D licensed coach or C licensed coach, don't you think it should be mandatory for them to understand this across any sport as a coach?
Siddharth, you're 100% bang on this particular topic. Everybody has to go through this kind of a training program, even if you are doing a skill development program for your people, because you have to understand every individual body and the requirement of that particular sport. It's a pure science. So you know the skill based of it. You know what kind of a training program, a skill development has to be done for that particular boy or girl. But on physical aspect, there are a lot of things happening at a physiological level, on a cellular level, basically. Okay, I don't expect every coach to understand and go that deep into physiology, but they should have which is included in part of their coaching schemes, and they should be open enough to get the professionals like this. Those days have already gone, where the coach used to do. He was a one-man army. He was a coach. He was a mental conditioning coach. He was a nutritionist. He was everything about the individual. The
Mhm.
things have changed, the game format has changed. Now a lot of professionals have come into the picture. So
Correct.
at least coach should have an open mind of getting the professionals on board, number one. And you should
Mhm.
have a basic understanding of sports science. I don't
Okay.
expect that they should get a full deep physiology into their system, but at least basic understanding of this. I'll tell you why I want it.
Mhm.
My fight with the coaches is about load management. When I tell
Mhm.
them, "Ki boss, we have to manage the load," they always think that load management means I'm going to tell them to practice less. No, it is not about practicing less. It's about
Mhm.
how much load that particular individual is going to take regarding their skill development program and
Mhm.
their strength conditioning program, and how much recovery is required
Right.
to come back to the court or a ground next day, and
Right.
how we are going to periodize his fitness and skill level for the competition. So
Mhm.
that is managing all that is called a load management. It's not about
Right.
reducing the load completely. Okay. Apart from that, when I say you taper down his training program where you approach the competition, they don't do that. They give more and more practice and double shift practice, and so by the time that boy is in the competition, he's already fatigued.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you give a basic understanding about sports science to these coaches, at least they will have an open mind to understand this logic behind why load management is required, why recovery is important, why every individual body is different. Okay,
Mhm.
and why this professional advice is more required to build or to make those people more at international levels.
Hmm. Interesting. So I think this could be incorporated in the PE sector of the academics as well, where the people will understand it more and more.
100%, Siddharth, because in P sector, see, I'm not across board, but most of the cases, what happens once you become a physical education teacher in any school, then your motivation level goes down. You can do
Yes.
so many things with this young talent and body, but they don't do that. I'll give you an example. I had this my center at the law college ground in Pune,
Mhm.
and there Abhinav school boys used to come for a PT class, and even from Symbiosis people used to come there, and there was nothing happening. They were just roaming around, and the PE teacher is just either walking or sitting at one place.
Mhm.
So actually, they can make a huge difference understanding these bodies, different bodies, and their capabilities and their likings. And if they can work like that, and we can work together,
Right.
then we have a huge potential to become an international sporting nation.
Excellent. So now, how much nutrition and diet plays a role in the strength and conditioning? I know it has to be it has to go in hand, but how much of it? Because not at a grassroots level, you may not be able to do it because kids are going home and they're eating what their parents are making and all those things. Elite level, they can manage few things, but at the grassroots to the amateur level, that in between segment, how do you think the nutrition diet actually plays a role?
At whatever level, Siddharth, we require to have a good diet plan in place, whatever level, because the demand, not only from the sports perspective, but even the life perspective, you
Mm-hmm.
have to have certain amount of proteins and carbohydrate and micronutrients has to be incorporated in. See, what is happening right now in diet, we always think about macronutrients. We always talk about
Yes.
carbohydrate, fats, and protein. That is it.
Correct.
We don't talk about water, we don't talk about fiber, we don't talk about micronutrients like minerals and vitamins, which are
Mm-hmm.
important in your physiological development inside. Okay, so then we come up with a different fat diets right now. There are a lot of things available on the internet, and people just go and follow them, and they don't know why we are following them. Okay, and we
Correct.
always talk about body composition. There's one parameter of fitness. Like we always think about, nee, I have a belly fat, I have to reduce that. Somebody is
Mm-hmm.
fat, I have to reduce that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the only component or a parameter we need to focus on. There are
Right.
various other aspects of sports and life we need to focus on. For example,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a good recovery.
Yes.
For the recovery process, we also have a good, you should have a good nutritious food
Mm-hmm.
at the correct time. We always say that after your workout, after your heavy training program, the first half an hour window is very important, because that time your absorption level are very high. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a good nutritious food at that time with a good carbohydrate and protein, your recovery starts faster.
Okay.
Apart from that, development of your muscle, development of your physiological capabilities, our energy systems, you require certain amount of foods um, before your workout, during your workout, after your workout. In your off season, you have a different goal. So depending on your goal, your food should change, and that keep changing. And that is the reason we require a good sports nutritionist in place. That is, uh, uh, we go to the nutritionist. Unfortunately, we are not finding a good sports nutrition. It's a specialized field. We cannot make a plan on 3 months nutrition program or a course. Okay, you have to understand nutrition thoroughly to come up with a good plan, and that plays a huge and important role in any at any level in athletes development.
Okay. Excellent. So now we spoke about grassroots. We spoke about the pro, elite and pro. I want to know there's a big segment in India which is like the recreational athletes. Now I have become a recreational athlete, right? After you can't be playing professional, you have become recreational, and it is also it has coming into lifestyle. So what are the simple things that you feel that we can understand as a recreational athletes are focused toward, like say consider the age group of say 35 to 45 and say 45 to 60. Let's have I know it's a big gap, but just want to understand what do you think that strength and conditioning should focus there?
Okay. Now it is a good thing that we are a recreational athletes. Now at age of 45, I'm playing badminton. Okay, and play serious badminton. Though I'm a recreational athlete, I want to compete in state level and and national level tournament basically. Okay, this is number one. It's a good thing that you are already into active lifestyle. First thing. Okay, but people think that okay, because I'm playing a sport, I'm doing enough to be an active. Okay, for example, I'm a runner. I'm a long distance runner. I'm doing 10K or 21K or a full marathon probably. Okay, and people saying I'm running and I'm doing enough for my body. But even for the running, you have a lot of stress and you're generating a lot of forces on your body.
Correct.
To absorb those forces and deliver those forces and keep running, because that's what you love most, without an injury is important, right? So to avoid injuries, we should do strength and conditioning aspects of it. So you do particular amount of training program so that you can enjoy your running more. If I want to play badminton, I have to work on my fitness to enjoy my badminton and without injury, basically.
Correct.
To live a healthy life, to live an injury-free life, and to enjoy what I love to do. For that, we have to have certain amount of time to be devoted for your workout. Whether you do running, whether you do strength and conditioning, or whatever you want to do.
I think you put it pretty well. It's like to enjoy your game. Now you should focus. You should focus on strength and conditioning so you can enjoy it more, which is without putting stress on your body and
without injury.
So okay. So now my one more question is for people who want to understand how do I get trained on not from training perspective, then they can probably come to Vishwas, but how do I become a strength and conditioning coach? So what are the universities typically courses and those kind of things? When can you actually look at that as a career? Suppose somebody is understand by 17, 18, 19, they know that okay, my professional career may not go in the direction I want to go, but now I have to look at the allied services. So they may want to go into the technical side of it, which is like strength and conditioning and all. So which are the courses, what kind of universities, or what should they look at, or certifications?
Okay, so unfortunately in India, we don't have much of choice in this particular field. We don't have degree courses right now. I've heard about a few universities are coming up with some kind of a degree courses here. So that is another one way of looking at it, doing masters in exercise science.
Exercise science.
Yeah, exercise science. But outside India, a lot of universities are having these courses, doing, and you can do masters there basically. Okay, this is one way of looking at it after your 12th standard. Second thing, there are certification courses available outside India. ASC, Australian Strength and Conditioning Association, has level 1, level 2, level 3 courses. UKSCA has the similar pattern. Or NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association, have CSCS, which is I always think that is the best certificate course available to get into strength and conditioning. And that is been recognized all over the world. So if you are CSS qualified and you go all over the world, you are qualified as a strength and conditioning guy. So they accept you there all over the world. So these are certification courses available, and there's certain master courses available outside India. And few universities in India slowly started understanding, okay, we require this kind of a course, because as you rightly said, suppose there are 10 lakh people playing cricket, and the team size is only going to be 15.
Correct.
Okay, so they should understand from where I have to stop playing cricket as a profession and look into different professional education.
Right.
So if you love your sport, and if you want to be in touch with your sport or into a sports industry, you can become a sports physiotherapist, you can become a sports nutritionist, you can become a biomechanist, you can become a strength and conditioning coach, you can get into a sports management sector.
Right.
And become, so there are various other allied services now because of this leagues and other sports have come up well, the other stars are born. So there's a lot of demand for good professional people in this industry. So if you love your sporting environment, there are various courses available across the world.
Excellent. So now coming to the last segment of our interview, I want you to, if you can name it, or even if you can't name it, I want to hear from you about a couple of case studies that you have worked with the national and international athletes, and what is the difference that actually made, where were they and where they reached. I know from the patient confidentially perspective, you may not want to take the name, but even if you can talk about what sport, where they were and where they reached.
Okay, so with the very classic example, 4-5 years back, one basketball player, a female basketball player in Pune, came to me. Her mother got her to me basically, and she was suffering for ACL injury, and she has gone through an ACL restructure, and she was completely down in terms of motivation. She thought her career is over completely, because of course, always injury is not only a physical injury, it's always a mental injury as well.
Yes.
Because there are cases where you gone out of the main scene, and you never played for the country again.
Correct.
So Ashwell Prince was a great example. He got injured, he got out, and Dumini came in the picture, and Ashwell Prince never played for South Africa because Dumini kept on scoring. So this thing can happen to you. So it's always going to be physical as well as mental injury. So when you work with an athlete like this, you have to work with the physical aspects of it as well as the mental aspects of it. You have to treat them mentally as well. So she came, she was suffering for ACL pain, was done an ACL reconstruction, and we actually have started from the basic level of balancing and just giving activation drill to her. And it was so basic that she always thought, what am I doing right now? But we kept on doing it slowly. We started building a confidence. We started building a strength, stability, and stamina. We started giving a more complex exercise after that. We worked on her power and speed. And she played for India again. And she did extremely well in Asian Games, where India has won that Asian Game first time.
Wow.
And she did a miracle there. So
excellent.
Over a period of time, she got her confidence back. She is better than, physically better than earlier. And she's kept on playing for the last 5-6 years for India.
Oh wow! And something you want to share about the Thailand women's team? It's a national team.
Yeah. That's again a good experience for me. One of our coach from India got in touch with me and said, "We want a good strength and conditioning coach for Thailand women's cricket team." So I went there, and we had various camps in Bangkok and in Pune as well. Again, they were. It's not a cricket playing country. And the quality of athletes you get in cricket was the lowest category of people, because they have their various, their sports are different. Their volleyball is number 1 in world women's team, and the cardio kickboxing and stuff like that. So cricket is the lowest category of athlete people come, but we had a challenge. So what was the challenge? There was a World Cup in Australia in 2020 where the qualifiers were going on, and Thailand has never qualified the World Cup ever in the life, and the target was to qualify for the Australia 2020 World Cup. And there are 3-4 good teams at the qualifying level. So we started working, and we became an Asian champion first, and then we went to Scotland for the World Cup qualifiers. There we came in the finals, and we beat all the top teams there. And first time in the history of Thailand cricket, we have qualified for the main Women's World Cup in Australia, and that was an achievement for us
Excellent.
and for them as well.
I'm sure it's like from non-cricket playing nation to a Asian champion to the qualifier to actually playing at that stage. I think that itself is a great story that what we can hear. I think that's the achievement, and that's a motivational thing as well.
Yeah.
So Vishwas, it was amazing talking to you, and like always, it's like it's I know this can go on for long time because with your all the knowledge that you have and the questions that I have, probably we shall connect soon and
Sure.
have another round. But till then, I think it's thank you for your time, and thank you for contributing to Sportsy, where we just believe in one thing: let's talk sports, and that's what our life is. So wish you all the best, and take care.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you for having me here. It's great talking to you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, and thank you for sharing. Please do subscribe on our channel, Sportsy Says, and also follow Sportsy Says handle across all social media. Please subscribe to Sportsy Says. Thank you.